Hi, the Mature Simmer here. So as you can see, I've got a new map. So this just got released this morning, and I'm going to take a look at it and get some things set up because I know it's a 16X map. So I'm going to do some base setup first, and then we'll get moving along because this is definitely big farming in North Dakota. So welcome to the farm. So we're here on the new map, Hastings, North Dakota, that was just released today by AFB Modding. So this is a massive map. It's a 16X map, and because of that, rather than make it extremely difficult and dull for myself, I've gone ahead and gone the route of the fact that we've got a pretty decent sized farm here up in North Dakota, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still not anything huge. There's likely larger farmers in the area. So we're over here at our house. We're right across from one of the main grain sell points, which is important so that we don't have to travel on this 16X map too far. We've got a little bit of a shed here where right now we've just got our pickup to get around. We've got a vehicle workshop so we can work on our own equipment. We've got a fill station so that we don't have to travel all over to get a bunch of the supplies we need. So we've got a corn and a regular header in here in our main shed. We've got a beet harvester, potato harvester. We've got a truck to bring in the crops. We've got a sprayer if we need it. And then we've got our planter and our seeder, and we've got an electric forklift for moving things around if the time comes for that. We've got our power washer and our charging station out here. And then we've got our harvester, our cultivator, and our fertilizer spreader. And in addition to that, we've got our small garage here that houses a couple tractors for us. So we've got our potato planter. We've got our John Deere 6250 for a medium size, and then the case quad track for anything that needs some heft. And again, given how large the location is here, we're going to need the biggest implements we can get, and right now that's what we've got. And then here is our silo structure. So once again, there's nothing about farming up here in North Dakota that's small. So we've got our 16 million capacity silo, which we'll be able to utilize as needed. So farm's been here for a little bit. We've got a few trees around, so at least we can have some shade once in a while. We've got some room for growth. You can see a little bit of crop out there. So let's take a look at the map so you understand the lay of the land. So this is the entire map zoomed out. There are 182 fields that AFB Modding has placed on this map. It's based on a real life location, Hastings, North Dakota. We are here. The town itself is here. As I said, we've got the grain sell point and so forth in that location. There aren't a lot of sell points on this map. You can see we've got a factory, a grain elevator, grain silos, and the shopping mall. So the shopping mall and the grain silos are there. We're near the grain elevator, and I'm not sure that I've actually found the other item because these are just silos that are available in case I believe if you want to start a farm on any of those locations, you can do so. All of those, I believe, need an auger to fill them. So there's a little bit of work involved there. And once again, so yeah, the factory, is the factory there? Yeah, okay, so actually 3 cell points there, 1 cell point there. So if you start on New Farmer, you get these 2 fields down here, 144 and 145, long way away from being able to sell your crops. So the way I looked at it, we had some pretty good space up here as I drove around and did a quick look at the map myself. And as I said, I kind of decided I'm going to do the bigger farming focus at this point, with the hope that over time, as I go along, things will become available for me, like courseplay and so forth, where I can start to get some significant equipment and work these fields a little more efficiently. So you can see we own basically everything north of the river that's kind of next to each other. You know, we obviously don't have any of these fields out there. We've got potentially some space there that I'm not sure if we can even buy. Yeah, there are basically areas. You can see if we click on them, it does give us the option to buy. Okay, well that we can't buy, but yeah, so 37 has some expansion capability against 41, for example. But you can also see then, like, we've got space here. We also have space that we can expand this a bit if we want. And we've got various crops in the fields here, including some sugar beets on this field, a couple fields of wheat. I think this is barley, and I think that's corn and oats. Yep, that's oats. So some of these fields are ready for harvesting, so that'll be the immediate work we'll be doing. So we've got these 3 fields, which are the oats and the 2 wheat fields. So I'm just going to start digging into the wheat field and start working the land that we've got here. But I'm pretty excited that we've got another map available. You know, we'll go ahead, we'll do a quick run around tour of some of the key areas here. But again, because it's a 16X map, there's a little bit of, you know, it's not a quick map to get around even in a pickup truck. The way things are set right now, we're not able to paint into this space. It's saying we don't own that land, so from an immersion standpoint, it kind of makes it difficult to be able to run my driveway out to the road, for example. But yeah, if I head down, do I want to head down this way? Yeah, we'll head down that way, and then we'll head over once we get across the river. So the one thing you'll notice is this map is definitely very, very flat, which would be right in line with this area of the country. So it's not too unique, but there isn't a lot on the map to begin with, so it's really kind of a blank canvas for what you want to do. So that can be good or bad depending on what you're looking to do, but obviously there's no productions placed on the map. None of that exists, which is one of the reasons, just to give myself some options as I poke around and try to do some things here. You know, we started out with a pretty good family fortune here to get this moving ahead. So we're going to go down this way to the town. And so you can see some fields are empty, some fields have crops in them, and you can obviously also tell you know, I'm going, 74 miles an hour. Didn't quite mean to go airborne, but you can see that these fields are not small. So, got a little bit of water here, and we're basically getting onto the outskirts of town. So this is the town of Hastings. And so I believe that's the factory. And the grain is obviously right here. So it's another sell point we can use, and then basically just some buildings that are not set up as sell points or anything, but you can see, you know, like the Mia Familia Mexican restaurant from Elm Creek, other things that obviously you'll likely recognize from the other base maps used to populate the map and get something put together that can be playable, that is different than what comes with the base game. And one of the things I'm certainly looking at here and exploring is, you know, the possibility of a map like this to maybe propose to the FSN community, because certainly with 182 fields, you know, this is a map that has enough space for multiplayer, and honestly this is probably likely the best use of the map is multiplayer. So what I'll be doing on here is probably not something that folks will stay too engaged in, because I'm guessing it's going to take me hours and hours just to harvest a field here. Even though I've got a pretty large header, I've got the John Deere mod with the 27,000 liter harvester, and I think it's a 45-foot header, so it's like an 18-meter header. So it's not small, but it's also going to take some time regardless. So here's the river, and again, those are our fields, so that's one of our wheat fields. Apologize as I'm looking around, driving off the road here. But I think it's still hard, even in this perspective, to really appreciate what's there. But yeah, that area with the trees and so forth is our farm. So I think it blends in pretty well with the area, and takes a bit away from just being flat and without any trees. So hopefully you like where we're at, and let's get moving along. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time just driving the map. Honestly, I'm not quite sure how much of it we'll ultimately see. I'd encourage you guys to, if you're interested, download the map. I'll put the link to the Facebook page where you can find it down below. So let me head on over to the harvester. I think we'll just start with this field that we have right here. What could be better? So, nice powerful harvester. And we will get going. is the auto drive. go ahead and grab this header and get it clear of the building, because I can't get to it the way I have it set and stored right now. The one thing is, yeah, the harvester is too tall to be able to fit inside the longer shed, which would have been nice, but it's just not to be. So as you can see, I've got some auto drive things set up where I'm going to try to at least have an auto unloader working. There's some sort of issue occurring, however, with saved games that I've been unable to resolve. So we'll have to see what the situation looks like. Whoops. I thought it let me connect, but I guess not. Alright. Alright, so we are going to set this to field 43 unload. And I'm going to quickly run out and run over to the truck. And our first test here will be if this goes anywhere. It is. That's a good sign. So we'll let him pull away. And he should now go wait. And as you can see, we've got quite a ways to the field. But I will go ahead, unfold the harvester, get things ready to go here. That's pretty much the weight point I've set. I have no idea how quickly I'm going to fill here, but basically I just have him going to our silo at this point to store things. I could eventually have him go ahead and move on to the sell point, but right now I felt this might be a large enough situation to just take it slow and store it, and then we'll figure out what we're doing with it later. So it'll be intriguing to see just how this works and how quick it goes, because as you can see, like this field, we can't even see the boundary of it in the mini-map. So I'm assuming that means we're not seeing the boundary of it on the screen either. And auto drive seems to have a few little quirks here as well. I wouldn't say quirks, they just operate a little bit differently. But we're going to see what the situation is as we go along. So I've got everything defaulted at this point, which includes the fact that we're paying a worker, and since I have such a large amount of money, I'll go ahead and leave that. You know, we're not doing anything like a survival challenge, obviously, with everything we're starting with, but at this point, I'm letting it go, and that means the trigger point of 60% is what we would have as far as the fill point before it gets called. But in testing this, I think we may need to have the pipe extended, but part of what I want to see is just how this is going to work. So I'm going to leave it as it is and see how it operates. So I'm not quite sure why this field has this strange configuration here, because obviously, as you can see, just as I saw when I scouted this place out, there doesn't really seem to be a reason that things aren't just connected. You know, obviously we'll have the issue of the little pond right next to the field, but one of the things that I was thinking about at some point is we may be able to expand this field. So I'm not sure if this is a little bit of a river or a creek here, but we'll follow the contours to at least see it. I may turn here rather than go in and out, because I'm not sure that that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it really has no rhyme or reason that I can see as to why it's configured the way it's configured. So at a minimum, we just might, you know, close this off and add that little bit into the field to at least make the edge straighter for this part. But most of the other fields seem to be configured because of either the river or some other natural piece there that requires it to move in and out. And once again, I think AFB mapping went ahead and modeled this after a real location. So my guess is that the fields are set up this way for some reason, and maybe in the past when this farm began, there was water here, and it's since dried up. And the field just hasn't been changed. You know, maybe because the ground underneath is still saturated or something. Obviously, again, not something we can readily simulate in Farming Simulator that way. So pretty much as far as the eye can see are our fields at this point. So that across the way is ours. The one up north, as we had, will be ours. So 42 is north of this, if you recall. But the thing I'm really concerned about is the sugar beets in 41, because the harvest for that, I think, will be quite lengthy. So yeah, I'm just hopeful with the problems we're having with saving that we're not going to have challenges with the game, but we'll try it, and I may unfortunately determine that I'm going to have to do this without any kind of automation, because at this point I'm not entirely sure what's causing it, but auto drive testing was something that was locking up a lot on saves, but I don't have some of the other things that I thought were the culprits here, and I also had a save happen where I didn't have auto drive running, so it's a little bit of a mystery. So I'm trying to browse the internet and look for answers. I just haven't really found any. But it may make it challenging to do anything with this map, because obviously if I go to save when I'm ready to stop here in a few hours or however long it'll be, and if I can't, and then I have to reharvest this, that obviously gets old really quick. And it's not that enjoyable. So alright, so there is our field boundary, and we can kind of see it on the mini-map. I was wondering to some degree if part of the issue was that we just couldn't see it on the mini-map but that doesn't appear to be the case. So let me see if I can. Well, I do have show lines. There we go. Alright, so we want to set that. Move this over a bit. Just trying to kind of set my field edge here, and then at least I'll lock the GPS in and at least have some control of what's happening. But at this point, yeah, I don't see a truck coming. So I'm thinking that what I was feeling is accurate, is that without the pipe out, it won't call the truck. So I'm going to go ahead and put the pipe out. And now I'm also going to cut a little bit into the row, because otherwise the truck won't have any room to fit under the pipe without technically going into the other crop. So not quite sure what we have. I think it's corn in that field north of us. So alright, so the real question is the truck coming? Is the field just large enough that we can't see it? Oh, it is coming. And clearly he's ignoring the fact that he's supposed to avoid the fruit, but sometimes when you're doing the headlands like this, it does do that. So the capacity of that truck is over 80,000 liters between the two, so it should work. I also don't know if auto drive's going to handle a double trailer really well, so got a little bit of experimentation going on here as well, so we'll see how it all works out. Yeah, this looks like he's going to circle, because he should obviously be coming here under the pipe, so I think he's trying to figure out what he should be doing. Does he think I'm in that row? I would imagine he wouldn't, but alright, so it is continuing to move, so I'll patiently wait. We'll see what it does. That's not very good. Did it get itself stuck? Oh, it snapped itself loose. Hopefully it won't take quite the same tight angle again. So this is similar to auto drive in 19, where it almost makes like a figure 8. Yeah, but now it's got the same issue here. Well, maybe it'll be okay. So we'll see, because yeah, we know it'll fill the front. It's just once it's full, will it fill the back? Or will it only, in essence, auto drive with one hopper, which really isn't going to be extremely helpful. Oh, I didn't realize these trailers also appear to have 2 hoppers each, so there's really 4. Yeah, there's some complexity here for sure, so I guess let's see what happens. Alright. Seem to be smart enough to pull forward. That's excellent. It's hopeful. I don't think we're going to fill the back hopper before we're empty. So at this point, it should start to drive away. There we go. So let's obviously put the covers back on. And then I can reline up here. and proceed. Not quite sure if he's out of the way enough. There we go. All right. I was worried he was going to sit there. So these are definitely pretty vast fields. I think that's the edge, so. And I did notice the auto drive, it is better at following at this point. Like once it is working, it looks like he's going to come over, and he may actually line up under my output, which is okay at this point because I don't have crop destruction on, but obviously it would limit the viability of this in a different situation. Is it going to harvest that, or am I going to have to fix that? It looks like it's actually going to pick that up, which again is excellent. So we got a little lucky there. So it looks like it's kind of doing it in spurts. Every time it gets like 60 liters or so, it spews it out into the truck. But that's okay. With automation set up the way it is, that'll work. So it is certainly nice to have a giant map again. I am a fan of large maps, to at least certainly have them available, if nothing else. Because the fields and the base maps, they're really not conducive to any kind of big farming such as this. You know, if I'm out there with a large header, I'm just trying to see, it looks like it's going to the back hopper. It didn't go to the front hopper of the back trailer. But I guess we'll see. It's intelligent enough to kind of know what it's doing, but we'll see if it determines that it has some space there in a bit. Now, I'll also be curious around this turn here. I'm not going to turn too early, but it's obviously anticipating that I will be doing the same thing, so that's pretty impressive. They've done some nice things with the auto drive follow on that for certain. I don't know that it was that good at anticipating in 19. Typically it would have continued to run straight, and at this point, because I'm in the rear trailer, it has to start the turn early, and you can see it's doing that before I'm actually starting to turn, so it's clearly following the edge of the field, assuming that's what I'll be doing as well. That's interesting, because now it's not doing that because of the fruit. Oh, interesting. It looks like we have a little bit of a... well, maybe not, I guess. Thought it was ignoring it because of the fruit, but it is not. Alright, and now it's doing the front hopper, so... I'm feeling a lot more optimistic that we're going to get a full trailer here before, or at least have the option, because again, the default setting I think is 85% full, so I think if it gets to that point, given that I'm not constantly outputting, it may pull away, which is fine. Wheat doesn't fill up that fast. We obviously went quite a ways around this field before we got to 90%, but nice thing is we can see at the far horizon, the other side of the field. But yeah, it looks like we've got a little bit of a blurb here, and I think the one he's driving in is 41 with the sugar beets. So that is our sugar beet harvest eventually. You can kind of see its size. So yeah, this almost feels like it would be more entertaining in both regards if I did something like a live stream, but I obviously don't have anywhere near enough subscribers to deal with that at this point. Now he's going to be in my way, so I'll give him a little bit and see if he moves. Yep, that's good. Figured he would eventually, that he would see that I wasn't moving, and therefore he would reposition to get himself clear. Yep. Sounds like he just restarted the truck. Because yeah, at this point it can come alongside, and when I make this turn, I'll continue to be on the outer edge so it can continue to fill up. Alright, so we head to the road. And the good news is he's not coming yet, so at this point, if I refill, I may get to the point where I can get him 100% full before he heads off to the silo, because if he waits as he did before, by the time I'm at 60%, I think I'll be at 16,000, and then he'll still have to catch me, so. But yeah, he doesn't appear to be moving, so he may be waiting for the trigger point again, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, the wages in FS22 do seem to be a bit high. So as you saw, it was $539, and I think that was for the hour. So I think it does it at the top of the hour, and I do think we've been harvesting enough and set at 5 times speed that we've gotten an hour of harvesting. But that may have even been a partial hour, which would obviously show how expensive it gets, which is why it ends up being a challenge using helpers the way this is set. So I do have this set at the middle level, basically farm manager mode, where it started without owning anything, and then obviously I adjusted my finances to give myself enough to set things up, and then didn't adjust them back down to a lower level like you would in survival or something. I just figured at this point I'll just leave the amount of money in there and focus more on actually playing than on worrying about the finances and so forth that are coming together. Yeah, these are large fields. I think I have quite a ways to go to finish my first trip around here. So it just goes to show you how large these fields are, even though on the map they don't appear so large. definitely there's enough here to do multiplayer with for certain, just by the little bit we've done so far. I mean, this field itself could keep a group of folks busy for an afternoon easily. And that's just one field out of 182. Look how small that giant shed we have looks. Give you an idea again of the distances we're talking about. Could be a quarter mile away. So it looks like row 46 from the top of the field, and we've come up a tiny bit, so we might have like 50 passes if we were able to do it without any kind of stop, which is not going to happen because I've got to wrap up soon. I may actually take a break once I finish the headland here, just to get a view of how it works, because I'd also like to make sure that my unloading is working, and it would be wonderful if I saved appropriately, but that'll occur kind of off camera here, but you'll hear about it certainly if it didn't work, and especially if it didn't work and I don't really have a viable path forward, because yeah, if I can't save the game, obviously playing a large map like this makes it virtually unplayable. Oh, well, there we go. We're closer to being done than I thought. For some reason I thought the headland was up around the top, but there's our unload point. Not sure where our truck is. It's possible he's traversing the outside edge of the field, which would obviously take a little bit longer, but so yeah, at this point I think I would go up at the top edge and then just start doing the rows. Be the logical thing to do here. And the truck would even need more time to catch me. Right. Not seeing a truck back there. It's not a good sign. Not quite sure why it would have stopped and gotten stuck there, unless it was trying to turn around and it jackknifed, I guess. I may need to double check and see. But yeah, at this point, we're nearly, again, I think it's 27,000 liters. 27,200 to fill this harvester, and it was also moving along while we were empty, so we may already be at exceeding 50,000. Misjudged that turn, sadly. So yeah, the way AFB did this is the roads are elevated, obviously, a bit from the field, so there seems to always be a little bit of a lip down. I'm not sure I'm going to worry about that. As big as this map is, those 4 or 5 liters I've left on the field probably are not something we need to worry about. Alright, I'm going to tab over to the truck and see what's happening. It is in fact jackknifed. Okay. So let me start it up. I see it's still waiting for the call. So yeah, I was liking this trailer because of the capacity, but it's really not working well for its ability to turn. Now, once we get away from the edge of the field, we're going to have less of a situation where it's going to do that. So I'm just hoping it's going to come from that corner and just come straight across. But if it tries to turn around and go around, that will obviously potentially cause the same problem, but we're going to have to stop here shortly because we're going to be full. So then I'll either get the truck here manually or at least try to figure out how to get it moving. So it's possible it's going around the edge. There's no way we'd be able to see it that far out. Wasn't too concerned because we don't have the crop destruction on, so I knew if it ran into the fruit, it would be okay. Alright, let me go to the map. Oh, he is coming. You can see his tracks, so it just took him a little while. So I would be surprised at this point if we don't fill the truck entirely, but yes, the way he came in, he's now going to go out and turn around. So we get to wait a little bit longer for him to play these games. So this is not different than we've experienced in the past with auto drive, unfortunately. It tends to not do a great job of not getting stuck with the harvester. Is he truly stuck again, or? He may be, so I'm not gonna wait around. Yep, he is, so. Try to give it a better turning radius here that hopefully will allow us to then line up and go. So let's see. He should just pull forward. The problem is if he continues to try to maneuver, we're going to have a challenge. I'm wondering if, because I'm not in the combine, if the combine shut off and there won't be a call. I just haven't had the patience in this version to wait. When I was testing this too, I kind of kept hopping back in, and then eventually it did move, but I don't know if it's truly because I'm there or if I just need to wait 10 more seconds in the other vehicle and it would come anyway. So one of these days I'm sure I'll test it out appropriately. Yeah, so it should certainly at a minimum be at 85% full, because if we recall, I think the configuration's very similar, where the front hopper will get filled and then the back hopper will have some left. It's just a question of, does it have enough to be 100% full or not? Okay, so yeah, if I leave, so I think we just had our question answered. If I leave the harvester, it, alright, and at this point I may have trigger to run. Oh, it's only at 81%. Why was he moving? He's not at 85, so he shouldn't be. Yeah, because now he's going to cause some problems. So he's banging into the harvester. So, but now we know we're at 81%. We'll circle back around here. We'll then turn it back on, and we'll just sit in the harvester and patiently wait. But yeah, so it needs basically 20,000, so I don't think it has enough to get to 100%, but it certainly will get to 85, so. Why is he turning again? So clearly auto drive is not going to work with this trailer. So I may need to change trailers if this is going to be what I try to keep doing. So I'm going to go further out. Let me see now if I do that. He may just go off and empty himself. No, he's turning. Don't turn so sharp. Okay, I think we're okay. But yeah. We have room for 20,000, and there's only 12,000 here, so. Although I can begin moving, and that will ultimately get him up. He should speed up and come alongside me. There we go. That's not what I wanted to do. Just trying to clean up the screen a bit. There we go. I'm not outputting anymore, so that back hopper is full. I'm not quite sure how long it'll take the truck to realize that he either needs to change locations to fill the rest of his front hopper, or he just should leave. So I'm going to go ahead and actually stop and let him pull ahead. No, he's not going to pull ahead. So there we go. Let's see if that works. Maybe he's 100% full. It does look like it's even. So that should let him hopefully go and empty. He did throw the covers on, which would seem to indicate that he's simply going to go and empty. Just have to look for any messages that say he can't get to the silo. I think I put the point far enough past that he should go through, and I think I've got the path set in the appropriate way that he pulls through in the right direction. So if you've ever used auto drive, you understand some of those nuances that I do have two-way paths, and so that potentially leads to the truck pulling in the wrong way, and then it'll never empty. It'll just sit outside the silo if it comes in the opposite way. So let's see where we can position ourselves here. And again, we'll keep moving along. No, this definitely gives us a good large-scale map, so certainly no complaints there. You know, maybe one of these days I'll leave a straw swath and bale these fields. I did look if I could do silage, but there are no sell points because there's no productions and no biogas and so forth on this map. There's no place to take silage at this point, so I would have to add that in to do that, because then potentially it might have made sense to like mow all that grass around the house and so forth. We'd probably get several bales out of it for sure. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and let this stop. Back up a bit so that if I start this up in the future, that I'm good. I'm going to switch to the truck. Is this the truck? No. Where is the truck? Oh, he's waiting there. Or no, he's not waiting there. Where is he? Oh, okay, I was like, is he unloading? But I guess he must have just finished the hopper. Alright, so that is excellent. So that means this is configured appropriately. He pulled in, he unloaded, and then he will drive to the unload point, and now he'll drive back to 43. And the good news is he's not hesitating in any way, so everything is connected. That's a little sloppy. Let's clean that up. So that'll speed things up a bit. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call this an episode. I'm sure it's long enough. I think I'm just going to let it play through the way it went. So I think I've got quite a bit of footage, quite a long episode to start this out and introduce people to this new map. So hopefully you've enjoyed the visit, and I'm going to cross my fingers that I can actually save the game and I'll be able to continue this at some point in the future. It's pretty likely tomorrow I'll be back on my FSN farm. So it may be a while before the next episode here, but at least I now have an alternative in single player to Elm Creek. So I will see you next time.